Would you like to begin a series of strategies that will propel you into achieving personal mastery? Do you desire to have breakthroughs in unlocking your potential? Do you seek to live a life that is full of joy, peace, and happiness? Each week, join Charles and Demetrius as they share tools and strategies that will help you take control of your life so you can live a life of peace, joy, and abundance. Now, here are your hosts, Charles and Demetrius.
And welcome back to another episode of Inner Success Radio. This is Chuck Rivers alongside host Billionaire Brown, and each and every week we bring on inspiring guests to help you unlock your full potential. Demetrius, what's going on, player?
Hey, we made it, man.
Yeah.
We made it. We made it. We made it. We made it.
Yeah, another week, man. How you doing?
So far, so good, man. A lot of good things are happening. God is working, right?
Yeah.
And to speak about the podcast specifically, did you realize that but this is not airing until January.
Yeah,
man, this is almost our first full year of actually doing this.
Yeah. But the people that are listening to this now are probably listening to this
in 2017.
2017,
right?
yeah. And we started this up in March of 2016.
Yeah, this is kind of great. This is almost a new year for us too.
Yeah. We're almost at a 1-year anniversary, man. We might do something. Now I think about it, 1-year anniversary for Inner Success Radio.
Yeah, and don't forget, remember in 2017, we got to go to one of these podcasting events. We got to show our face. We got to show Inner Success Radio and some other places. We still on for that, right?
Of course, man. Matter of fact, we can probably start looking at some of that stuff, at the beginning of January the beginning of January, man, and start making plans to go. Because I think it may be, actually, Lisa, may be in your area, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure where it is. I know last year it was out on the West Coast. But I'm not sure where the podcast movement is going to be this year.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. I haven't heard anything over here. Perhaps. I'll keep my eye out for you because it'd be great to go along.
Wait, where's that accent from? Where's the accent?
Okay, so the accent is the north of England, but mixed up with a little bit of London, a little bit of West Midlands, all UK. It's UK.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about her accent, Charles?
I love the accent. I work with a where I work. One of the schedulers. She has an accent, and I didn't know it until I went over there and talked to her, and I just had to say it. I love your accent.
Thank you so much. I hear that so much here, and I forget that I have an accent until somebody points it out to me. I just think everyone around me's got an accent,
I think I want to move to England just so I can pick up on the accent. I think after about 10 or 15 years, I'll start talking like I was actually from England.
I think after 10 or 15 years, you'll be over the accent. You'll be like, okay, I've heard enough of that now. What else have you got?
But Lisa, we wanted to welcome you to Inner Success Radio. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with our audience.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
And I don't know if you know this already, but did you know, Lisa, that Charles is also a cook, a chef?
Oh, really? No. What's your speciality, Charles?
No, well,
you got to check out his Instagram page.
Really?
Charles was bragging. He was on Instagram that he made food today. And what was this? Some Jamaican. Yes, it's Jamaican rice and beans. Well, tell her what you made. Tell her I didn't know he can cook after all this time.
All those skills and talents.
It was supposed to come out as Jamaican rice and beans. And Demetrius, from the pictures, you would think that, hey, it looks pretty good. Oh, he did his thing.
Yeah, I want a bowl.
But
you make it hungry.
It actually didn't come out the way I had planned. So it was kind of a flop when I took it into work today. That day, I should say.
Was it edible? It looked edible to me.
Yeah, no, it was edible, and some people liked it, but for the most part, some people, we'll pass. So, it was lesson learned because I tried cooking it a different way. I've never cooked it before, so that could be a tribute to the reason why it didn't come out the way I expected it to come out.
Mm-hmm. So maybe next time, we try it again. Next time, it'll come out delightful.
Yeah. Yes, which it usually does. This is the first time I've made it, and it wasn't a hit at work. So
Well, listen, if ever you mess up, because I think your messing up is probably way better than the average person. If you don't want it, you could just send it to me in the mail. People send me food like mac and cheese. So I'm
Yeah.
just being honest. You want to send me some, some rice and beans, some
Rice
rice
and
and
beans.
beans.
I'll overnight it to you. Let
Yeah.
make sure you get
You
it.
got to send it with a voice recording of you saying rice and
Rose
beans
recorded
exactly
rice
like
and
that.
beans
Yeah,
from Jamaica.
yeah.
There's some Jamaica from the island.
Jamaica, man.
The islands. All right. So before we hop into the interview, Lisa, Demetrius, bro, go ahead and take us away with the question of the day.
All right, fantastic. So the question of the day, man, this is a good one. All right, so here it is, and I'm gonna give you guys options. You have options.
Good.
All right, and here's your options. At any point in your life, if we were to sum up every job that you've ever had, even of any business, if you just accumulated everything that you've done in business or done in just work, period, adding service to people, if you could only summarize everything, would you say that you were more overworked or underpaid? If you can only choose one, which side would it be? Let me ask the question again for those of our listeners who are listening to us at the gym, running on the treadmill, and we never forget about those that are listening to us on your way to work. The question again is, if we were to take a snapshot of your entire life of working, whether a job or a business, if you could only categorize and, say you were either overworked or underpaid for a majority of that time, which one would you choose? And tell us a little bit about it. Charles, you're first.
That's a good question. Very good question. And I guess a combination of the two. When I was working at Burlington Co-Factor, it was my second job. Probably about, I think I was like 18, around 18 years old. I was hired to work in one department, but I ended up working in several. So I was working in linens, I was working in baby depot, I was working in the men's department, I was doing loss prevention, I was cashiering, all while making $7.50 an hour. I'm sorry, $7.25 an hour. And more recently, where I'm working now, our focus is on performance improvement. Right. We help people improve their job performance, but we also tap into the personal development side as well. We like to help them develop not only professionally, but personally as well. We have a lot of goal setting workshops. We actually just recently put on a course based off the book, The Happiness Advantage. And I think within itself, it's a valuable skill. And I think within that itself, I'm underpaid. But I wouldn't necessarily say I'm overworked, because I really enjoy what I do. But as far as compensation wise, if you can help somebody improve not only professionally but personally, that should be that the return on that should be a lot higher than what I'm getting paid right now.
Yeah, I could actually agree with that, because what you're doing, you're basically training, coaching, and helping people, develop. Yeah. And I think even with school teachers is also in that category for me as well. It's like certain professions out there are way underpaid, way underpaid. And some of them, you can't even put a price tag on it.
Yeah.
But they should definitely increase it. So if anybody at the management of your location is actually listening to this, consider giving Charles a double raise. It's worth it. It's worth it. Now let's go over to Lisa. Lisa, what would you say if you summarized everything that you've been since the beginning of time? What would you categorize everything?
Well, do you know what?
Overworked or underpaid?
Yeah, it's a really great question, because normally they kind of lumped together, people saying that they're overworked and underpaid, and it's lumped together as the same thing. Do you know what? It's a really, really easy answer for me. Underpaid, because I'll explain why. All the work that I've ever done, I do sort of put boundaries around what I do, but I generally tend to enjoy what I do, even when I've been working in jobs that I haven't loved. I mean, I've had a few jobs that I've absolutely hated here and there, but generally speaking, I've sort of enjoyed my work. And so I wouldn't say that I've overworked, no, because I don't push myself to be overworked. I put in 100%, and I'm a very energetic person, and I give of myself a lot, but I don't go beyond my own boundaries. But I would say I don't always get compensated quite as well, and historically haven't always got compensated as well as perhaps I could have done for what I was giving. Yeah.
Wow, that's really big. So it's you guys are man. So I got to go with underpaid too, guys. And since the beginning of time, since we're doing that, I got to say underpaid, right? From every single job. Like, can we even is anybody ever satisfied with their salary though? Like, seriously? Like, is anyone, because everybody's always looking to do more, to provide more value. Because I'm thinking I'm kind of crazy here, because I'm an entrepreneur right now. I'm a business owner, and I'm still saying if you added everything together, I'm saying I'm still underpaid. So
I do remember being asked this question. I went to a conference years and years ago, and the guy on the stage, it was like some sort of motivational thing. I can't remember what I was doing, and he said, "Who here feels that they're getting paid what they're worth?" And I was I actually put my hand up. I was in my early 20s, and I put my hand up, and I thought there'd be quite a lot of people there that would put their hand up, and I was the only person that put their hand up, and I thought, oh, and it kind of made me think, oh, perhaps am I not being paid enough? I don't know. I was kind of happy with what I was being paid. I was okay with it.
Wow.
And I don't know. I haven't met anyone else who's ever said that they're happy with how much they get paid.
That is so interesting. And just as I was talking and I was listening to you guys, it's like, will you ever get to a point where you just say no? Because even Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, they're giving away like 95% of their income. But they're still taking their checks they're getting today. They're not like, no, we have enough and we're still going to give away. It's just fascinating. Very, very fascinating. But thank you guys for participating.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. What are you going to do with those answers?
What am I going to do? I'm going to use them in normal conversation. It's a great conversation starter.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, and I don't know if this ties in, but I was listening to a Jim Rohn audio, and he was talking about the type of value we bring to the marketplace. Right? He says that we're paid for the value we bring to the marketplace, and I don't know. I mean, I think it has some level of truth to it. But if we're out there performing a service that's changing lives and we're not being compensated, then either one, we're targeting the wrong audience, or two, what we're doing, that what we think is valuable is not that valuable at all. So very interesting question. Very good question, Demetrius. I'm glad you asked it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the topic of conversation. Like Liz said, most people do say, I'm overworked and overpaid. So I thought it's a lot of people being overworked. Now that's another thing, being overworked and underpaid.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother conversation, but I'm going to pass it over to you, Charles. Let's get this thing rocking.
All right, let's do it. So, Lisa, one of the things that we're always interested in is a person's journey. We like to know how somebody got started on the path that they're on. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell us a little bit about some of the work that you do today.
Sure. Okay. So how did my path start really to this particular work? I was working in London, and I had what most people would consider a great job, and I would consider it a great job as well. I was an office manager, and I had lovely offices, and I worked with some very intelligent people. And, I was busy in my work, but I wasn't overworked. I wasn't really underpaid either. And, but it's just something was kind of missing, and I couldn't quite work out what it was. And it had been like that for quite a number of years, a kind of like a little voice on my shoulder saying, come on, there's something else you should be doing. But I just had absolutely no idea what it was. And so, very long, convoluted story short, I quit my job, got rid of my stuff, and went to go and meditate in a monastery in Nepal. And spent some time sort of soul searching, because I had a busy, full life. I got a lot of a lot of friends, a lot of hobbies. I was doing all sorts of things, but something wasn't quite sitting with me. And I thought, right, I feel like I need to get rid of everything and start again, just to sort of get back to basics. And so I got back to basics. And I started to recognize that I enjoyed helping people, which is most people's first step. I want to help people somehow, and it's the helping people somehow. It's the somehow that's everybody's sticking point. There's people that are not sure what they're supposed to be doing. I want to help people, but I'm not sure how I want to help people. And it's most people say that I want to help people. It's like, good, how? Because everything we do helps people, and it's our own little niche in that or niche as you guys say. It's your own little niche in that niche, yeah, that is your thing. And eventually I came to coaching and realized that this is exactly what I wanted to be doing. And what I recognized was, I'm a life purpose coach. And what I recognized was, while I was doing my general life coaching, was the people that came to us. I had to do a lot of case studies while I was studying. And I recognized that the biggest problem that I was coming across with people is that they were spending their time doing things that didn't make them happy. So they'd spend, 40 hours a week or more often doing things that didn't quite sit in line with them. So even though they were helping people in whatever way, it wasn't their way of helping people that felt right to them. And so basically I developed a system to help people to figure out what is their niche or niche of helping people. And that's how I came to it. So I set up a business. Again, long convoluted story short, I set up a business doing that. And that's what I do. So yeah, that's my journey. That's in a nutshell.
So did you now are any of your parents, do they own their own business, or do you have like a family tree of entrepreneurs, or are you the trendsetter for your family?
No, I don't actually. My dad is a teacher. He's a history teacher and a very good one. And my mum has had a number of jobs. She did once own a cafeteria. She did once own a cafe for a few years. But she gave up doing that after some time. But no, we're not entrepreneurs in our family, and I think sometimes my family has got real no idea what I do properly. And I'll tell you what's interesting. I wrote and published a book, and it became a bestseller earlier this year. And when that happened, suddenly I felt that my family knew what I did for a living. Somehow there was something tangible that they could, put their hands on and say, this is what she does. Even though, being an author is actually a small part of what I do, I really felt that it was something that my family, who are not generally entrepreneurs, could understand and feel proud of, and feel like it was something they could get their head around. Because being a life coach, it's not something that everyone's heard of. Being an entrepreneur is not something that means anything to most people. So to be that they love me to bits, but I think sometimes they wonder what I do.
So what's your definition of entrepreneurship?
Oh, that's a great question, isn't it? I think there's a lot of people will say that someone who owns their own business is an entrepreneur, but to me, an entrepreneur is someone who's a pioneer in a particular thing. So somebody who brings something new to the table, something that hasn't quite been done before in that particular way. That's my understanding of an entrepreneur. It's not just someone who owns a business. It's someone who owns a business that's doing something that's quite forward thinking. Mm-hmm. And, obviously life coaching is not, a life coach is not necessarily an entrepreneur, but the work that I'm doing, I believe to be quite pioneering. It's new stuff that I'm doing.
I like the word pioneering. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, let me get this one out the way. I was looking on your website, and I noticed the blog section, which attracts me to a lot of people. And you have a blog here on April 18th, 2016.
Yeah. Why
you should quit your shit job. Sounds a little inspired by Gary Vaynerchuk or something. I don't know, but
I love Gary V. I love Gary V.
Yeah. So like, give us a little take on what this blog is about. What are you talking about here?
Which one is it? Is it the one where I'm talking about? I've written quite a few blog posts. Is it the one where I'm talking about?
I'll start it off a little bit.
Yeah,
Sometimes people
yeah.
gotta do that for me as well, right? I'm sitting here with tears spilling down my cheeks, feeling heartbroken for those of you who are literally crying on your way to your 9 to 5 today. I'm hurting for those of you who are trying to build a business, but until your business can support you, feel trapped working a job that is fast tracking you to a nervous breakdown. I'm angry that you want me to keep going, or you remember?
That's the one. Yeah, I do. I know which one you mean.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. So basically, the ethos of that one is that your mental health is the most important thing that you have. Your mental health is the most important thing that you have. Without that, you're going to be struggling. And, you've got a lot of people that are doing work that doesn't feel good to them. A lot of people, I speak to so many people, guys. I speak to so many people who are crying on their way to work. They're taking medication for anxiety and stress because of their work. And the point of that blog post was to say, look, it doesn't have to be that way. Just do something different. Please just do something different. You do not have to be in that struggle. It doesn't have to be that way. And I know it's scary to move jobs. And yes, maybe it's paying you, a phenomenal amount of money to look after your however many bedroom house. Or maybe you just think that there's nothing else in the area. I couldn't possibly find another job in this area because, the economy is really low, et cetera, et cetera. There are always choices. And the first choice that you have to make is your mental health. That is the most important thing. Suffering with anxiety and stress and crying. I mean, that's not life. That's not how it's supposed to be. And that was the point. Yeah.
That's really cool. And you mentioned something a little bit about. Well, Charles just asked the question about entrepreneurship, and then you also said you were a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. So let me tie in a question here for both of those. Right. So Gary Vaynerchuk is known for saying this fact, right? And he says that entrepreneurship is not for everybody, right? While some of us are great at this, some of us could help us doing this. And he consistently uses the example of, he says that Facebook, if you take the first 78 executives who created Facebook, they are more successful monetarily as well as mentally, right? Whatever you want to say. They're more successful in business than the average business owner in the world. He said the same thing for Snapchat. He said there's like the first 38 people that joined on board with Snapchat is more successful, has more success as a business owner than the average business owner. And what he's basically saying is that if you have a product or if you have an idea, you don't have to do, like everything. You may be a successful entrepreneur letting someone else do the business, right?
Yeah.
What is your take on that as a life coach working with business people all day, every day? Do you notice that is this the time where partnerships and collaboration should be more relevant in entrepreneurship? What's your take on that?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, as an entrepreneur myself, I struggle with it a little bit myself. I'm really bad for wanting to do everything myself because I love a challenge. I love a technology challenge. I love a systems challenge. And, but then at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, I've got so much to do. I can't cope with this. I don't know how to do with this, et cetera, et cetera. And it's so common. I'm in a lot of entrepreneur groups and I have several groups that I speak to, including my own. And it's the same problem that comes up for most people, this tendency to want to do everything ourselves. But we are so much better if we can collaborate. Or it doesn't necessarily have to be a collaboration. It can be a delegation. So you can still be, the star of the show, but you can have someone who takes care of, I don't know, your social media, someone who takes care of your accounting, someone who takes care of this and that, your website or whatever. Trying to do everything yourself is exhausting because there's a particular thing that you want to, bring to the world. For me, life purpose coaching, and I'm not a website expert, and I'm not an expert in accounting, and I'm not an expert in social media either. I know a lot about all of these things, but they're not my niche. They're not my area, my niche. They're not my area of expertise. And so when I do them, they have a tendency to sort of bring me down a little bit. And the idea of, moving forward with something is that you can do what feels good to you. What is your, that joyous thing that makes you feel marvelous. So having a team around you is necessary to move forward. And it can be a collaboration, but it doesn't have to be. It can just simply be delegating. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it definitely does. But it's like I had such a connection when he was talking about that, because if you take a shampoo bottle, for example, right? A lot of people may say, you know what, I want to make the perfect shampoo. Mm-hmm. Right? But if you look on the shampoo bottle or whatever else we're talking about, there's a lot of different entrepreneurs that had their hands in creating that shampoo.
Yeah.
And I really, really, that's the message that I think a lot of entrepreneurs need to hear. And that's why every time I get an opportunity, I'm telling people, hey, check out Gary Vaynerchuk. And now that I just got an opportunity to meet you, I'm definitely going to shoot people to get this message from you as well. Because I think I totally agree with Gary Vaynerchuk. I know, Charles, you have a question that you wanted to spark Lisa's way.
Well, it was. I mean, it kind of ties into what you guys are already talking about. So, Lisa, are you familiar with Pat Flynn?
Vaguely, yeah, a little
vaguely.
bit.
Okay, so Pat Flynn had some of the same challenges when he first got started in business. As his business started to grow and he started to take on more projects, he still felt as if he had to do everything. And with the type of business structure that he has and being a successful podcaster and whatnot, he had no choice but to delegate. And he said as soon as he delegated, his income went up almost like 25 to 30x, because his focus was on the primary core of any businesses, and that's to bring in revenue. Yeah. So he was able to create the content. He was able to reach out to guests, and he was even able to start going on to different speaking engagements because he had all this time that he freed up by delegating some of his tasks to a VA. Yeah. And that's something that we're actually, me and Demetrius are looking at right now, as far as the podcast is concerned, because we do everything pretty much on the back end ourselves. We do the editing, the posting to the website, the marketing, all that. Yeah. And Demetrius, if you can agree with me, we both love creating content. Like, that's what we want to do. We want to put these shows together. We don't want to be managing calendars and scheduling guests and all that other stuff. We want to be on a microphone talking to inspiring people like yourself, but we haven't got to that level yet. So for somebody listening in, because we have a lot of entrepreneurs who are just getting started in business that listening to our show, how can they start the process of, if they're at that point where they can start looking to delegate, how can they first get over that fear or give it over that hump saying, okay, as an entrepreneur, I'm going to have to trust some of these tasks over to somebody else? How can they start that process?
That is a fantastic question. Do you know what? It's a problem. I think everybody has this, and you just simply have to go for it. I mean, getting a VA is a game changer. As soon as you've got a VA, that, like you say, it frees up so much of your time. And I think it's that fear of being able to, hand over your baby to someone else. Like, oh, is this person going to be capable? Surely there's nobody on the planet who could do it as well as I do it, surely. But of course they can. Of course they can. Some people are so much better at this stuff than you. One of the things that I've seen works quite well is asking for referrals, because the biggest fear is that you give something to somebody and, maybe all your administration work or your social media or whatever. And the biggest fear is, are they going to mess it up? Can I trust them with my passwords? Can I trust them with this? Can I trust them to get it right? Can I trust them to speak in my voice? Whatever, in whatever they're doing. And asking for a referral from a colleague is a good way. Is anybody working with someone who, does X, Y, Z, does social media, does this, whatever it is that you need help with, that you can recommend. And then you can speak to them and see how you get along with them, and just give them, maybe like a 3-month trial to get started. having a referral is quite big, because you feel then that you're able to trust that person. You know that they're not going to, run away with your passwords and, not mix things up because someone's already, tried and tested them. Someone's already said, yeah, this person has, made my life so much easier. If you're going to get somebody full time, then it's different. But if you want somebody part time, which I think when you're starting out, somebody part time is perfectly adequate. You can share it with a colleague. You can share it with one of your peers, one of your entrepreneur friends. If they've already got somebody, then you could perhaps, take them on part-time as well. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay,
yeah,
cool
but
stuff. Now,
it is the biggest fear, I think. Can I trust them? Are they going to mess it up? Nobody can do this as well as I can. And it's just getting yourself over that hump.
Yeah, because when we have our own businesses, that's like our baby, right? That's our child. We want to make sure the business gets the best care that it gets, right? We want to bring on people who have the same passion, the same drive, who are going to treat the business as if it's their own business.
Exactly.
And I think, as you mentioned, in getting over that hump, trusting and say, okay, this person is going to be able to help me grow this business, as opposed to this is a person who's going to mess the business up.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because at the same time, is when you do that, you also have the ability to cut the cord, right? If you're delegating work to this person and you see that, hey, they're not working out, you can just say, okay, we're not working together. It's not like your typical employer-employee relationship where you have to go through several processes in order to fire an employee, unless they do something really crazy. But in this type of setting or business, when you're bringing on somebody like a VA, you can say, okay, VA, we're not. Things are not working out, we're no longer working together. And
exactly.
That's it, right? So,
yeah, exactly. Because you're not employing them. You're actually, they're a freelancer. They have a business of their own.
Yeah.
So, yes, you're hiring them, but they're not an employee.
Yeah. So I want to take it back, switch gears just a little bit and talk about when it comes to starting businesses up, right? There's hundreds and hundreds of different businesses, ways that people can create income. Actually, before I go there, there's a guy named Mark Ford. He has a financial newsletter called the Palm Beach, I think Palm Beach Research Group down in Florida. It's a very high-end newsletter. I think the subscription, well, I'm subscribed to the free version, but I think the paid version is like $200 a month, but they give some really, really good practical advice. He wrote a book, The Reluctant Entrepreneur, I think it's in there. And he lists the five top reasons that people go into business, but the wrong reasons for going into business. And he said one of them was money, right? He said that one of the wrong reasons for somebody to get started in a business is to make money. Do you agree with that, or do you disagree?
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, ultimately, when you're working for yourself, you can decide how much you get paid, but I'm not going to pull any punches. I ain't going to lie to you. When you start a business to begin with, you're getting paid nothing. You're getting paid nothing to begin with. It takes time, and those people that think that you can just launch yourself into a business and suddenly, replace your 9-to-5 corporate salary, that's not going to happen. It takes time, and it's a transition. The reason to start having a business is hard work. It takes a lot of tenacity. You're working for yourself. There's nobody standing over you with a whip saying you need to do this at this time. You have to actually have the autonomy to do it yourself, and you have to have the passion for it, because it is a lot of work. You are going to be doing more hours than the 40 hours that you were doing in your regular job, so you've got to want to do it. Starting your own business is about being creative and ultimately creating some freedom for yourself in whatever way, in whatever freedom means to you. Being able to design things how you want them to be. To me, that's what starting a business is all about. Starting a business simply to make money, it's going to take some time before you make money, and you've got to really have some tenacity to push through those times when, in the beginning, you are not making money. If that's really what you want to do, it's easier to work for someone else. If that's your motivation, it's easier to work for someone else.
And so, with that said, isn't it better? Because I hear a lot of different sides as far as starting a business based off your passion versus starting a business based off what's profitable. If somebody is starting a business strictly off profit and they realize they're not making any money for the first couple of years, they're not going to stick with it. But if they're starting a business something based on something that they're passionate about, whether or not they're getting paid, they're going to stick with it because they're passionate about it. But in that scenario, somebody who's starting a business based off their passion, what if it's a passion that's not really profitable, right? For example, I'll say scrapbooking, which I heard the story of a lady who quit her job to start a scrapbooking business, and it's now doing six figures. But let's just use scrapbooking as an example. Somebody's passionate about scrapbooking. Scrapbooking is not one of the first things people look at as far as profitability. How can somebody work through that conundrum?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. Do you know what? I think that pretty much anything can be profitable. You just have to find your audience. You have to find your market. And I think, the reason that most people give up in a business, even if it is their passion, and, they end up going back to, finding a job or even a part-time job, is because they don't know how. It's what you said right at the beginning of the show. You said it's if you don't know how to find your audience. If you're not making any money in your business, it's because you can't find your audience, because there is every kind of person out there. And for every single thing you want to do, there is an audience. And it simply is about finding them. And not everyone who goes into business is a natural marketer. I would say almost nobody who goes into business is a natural marketer. So you need somebody who knows what they're doing, someone who understands sales, marketing, putting yourself out there, finding the right audience. And you might need to do some tweaks in your business. It might be that, I don't know anything about scrapbooking, but it might be, scrapbooking about a certain topic is not, you're not going to find that many people. But maybe if you were scrapbooking around, I don't know, Star Wars or something, then you're going to find a lot of people that are interested in getting involved. But finding your audience is what it's all about. I actually don't believe that there's anything that you could do that you couldn't get paid for. People, now that people know what I do, over the last few years, people sort of send me all sorts of crazy articles and, blog posts, and, people do all sorts of strange things for money. And there's an audience for everything. You can get paid for anything. You just have to find them.
Yeah, that's good.
That's my take on it. That genuinely is my take on it. But not everyone is a natural marketer, and not everybody knows how or where to find the audience. And that's when, and this is what we're going back to, talking about not necessarily collaborating, but delegating, finding someone who knows how to find your audience and speak to them.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, that is really big. That was really, really good. All right, so what do you? We know what you do, right? We have a good idea. We're gonna find out more in a little bit. But I'm always interested to know, like, what does Lisa enjoy doing outside of business?
Oh, wow. What do I enjoy doing outside of business? Oh, I love walking along the beach. I've been for a little beach walk earlier on today. I love cycling as well. I love going out in the mountains. I love, a bit of fresh air and exercise. I do a lot of yoga. I really enjoy yoga. I found a wonderful yoga school here that does vinyasa flow yoga, and I'm so into that right now. I'm doing that several times a week. One of the things I really enjoy doing is talking to people about how to improve the world. So I've joined a group here where I am in San Diego at the moment, of people who we proposed a topic, and then we sit and we talk about it. So everybody's very open-minded, and we talk about this topic, and quite often we come up with ideas on how to improve society, how to improve the world, how to make things better. And I enjoy that. I enjoy talking with people who are really smart and interesting and, pioneers. And yeah, that's what I enjoy doing.
That's really cool. All right. So to keep it there, like, what is, do you have anything like maybe adventurous or dangerous that you may have on your bucket list still?
Adventurous or dangerous things I still want.
Yeah, like, have you skydiving, bungee jumping, Yellowstone, Eighth Wonder of the World? Like, what's something dangerous that you haven't done yet, or risky, adventurous?
But I haven't. I'm not super adventurous. I mean, I travel a lot. I've done a lot of travel, and there's still several countries that I want to visit. In terms
Tell
of doing
us about a country you haven't been and why.
A country I haven't been to yet.
And why do you want to go there?
I haven't yet been to Japan. Even though I have spent a little bit of time in Asia, I haven't yet visited. Why not? I think because in the times that I've spent in Asia, it's been like a bit of a spiritual journey for me, this sort of getting back to basics, a lot of meditation, a lot of yoga, a lot of, soul searching. And I didn't feel, I don't know whether it's the truth or not, but I didn't feel that Japan really had what I was looking for at the times when I've been to Asia. So I think it will be interesting to see. I believe it's quite, Tokyo, for example, is supposed to be quite fast paced, really interesting food. Everything's kind of, high tech and modern, and that would be interesting for me to go to. But I haven't been there yet, and it's on my list. All
right, fantastic. When you go, make sure to check us out and let us know that you went.
I'll tell you.
We'll replay this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've done jumping off I don't know what it's called, where you jump off a mountain attached to someone else with a paragliding. It's called. I've done paragliding.
Oh, if you wouldn't have said paragliding, I would have said crazy. That's crazy. What about bungee jumping? Skydiving?
No, do you know what? I've got absolutely no. My sister's done a skydive. I would never do that. It just doesn't appeal to me.
But you'll jump off a mountain.
Attached to someone else, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's
crazy.
awesome.
I know. Have you guys done any bungee jumping or jumping out of a plane?
I have not. I want to though. I'm very scared, but I definitely want to. Yeah. So the another question that I have, Lisa, in reference to business is, why shouldn't people go out and start any type of business?
Why should they go out? Go on, go on. I'll let you elaborate. What do you mean? Yeah.
So, say for example, one day we're out walking, and then somebody says, "Oh, do you have?" Say they ask you a question, and you're like, "No, I don't have whatever they asked you," and the idea pops in the head. Oh, wow, that sounds interesting. Maybe I should start or create a. No. I'm okay. I'm going to scrap that. I'm going to scrap that. I picked up a Steve Jobs biography from Five and Below the other day for $5. Yep. And I thought it was like just I don't want to say a rinky dink, but I thought it was just some guy who just wrote a biography on Steve Jobs. I went to Amazon, did a review on the book. It has over 5,200 reviews, so it's a very, very popular book by a guy because he's also done biographies on Edison, Benjamin Franklin, and a couple of more powerful guys throughout history. And within the book, it was talking about. I'm in the part of the book where Steve Jobs is talking about his early when he first got started and interested in electronics and whatnot. And the interesting thing is there's two concepts that I picked up from those first few pages was passion and vision. Right, Steve Jobs was very passionate about electronics. He was very passionate about seeing things come to fruition. And when he got connected with Wozniak, who was his business partner in the beginning, those two guys meshed together. But I really want to focus in on passion and vision. And I'm asking this question because that same day, I was listening to an interview on Mark Cuban by NPR Radio. And Mark Cuban was a billionaire before he bought the Mavericks. I didn't know that. I thought he was because of the Mavericks he became a billionaire. But he was already a billionaire before he bought the Mavericks. But he had started two tech companies before then. And those two same concepts came up, passion and vision. Like not one time now, of course, he had a goal to earn money. But during the interview, it seemed like his focus was also passion and vision. How important are those two concepts when somebody's getting started in business? I know that was like a 10-minute question.
I completely understand what you're asking. It was, yeah. Well, oh my God, so important. I mean, to me, I personally feel that they're absolutely crucial. You've got to, so looking at them separately, passion is, caring what you're doing, like enjoying what you're doing, being passionate about the process of what you're actually doing and what you're achieving. The vision is being able to see the benefit of what you're doing. My vision is I want, X, Y, Z, and holding that vision while you're going about all the processes and things that you have to do in order to achieve it or get toward it. I mean, personally, my vision is to get everybody on the planet doing the work that makes them feel good. I think it's pretty blooming unlikely I'm going to achieve that in my lifetime, but that's the vision. That's what I'm working towards, because I want a happier world. I want people to feel good in their day to day in what they're doing. So to be passionate about how you're doing something and about what you're doing is so crucial, because it keeps you going. And having that vision, it's like a sort of, I see the vision as like a sort of a beacon going, come on, this is what you're doing it for. You know, it's kind of flashing there, ready, waiting for you, telling you, come on, keep going. I think it's so crucial, so crucial.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wish that was talked about more in a lot of these, personal development, or I say business books. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're in some, and I can't say I've read even 5% of the business books out there in the market, but from the ones that I did read, passion and vision are two concepts that didn't come up that often, which I think, and I agree with you 100%, is very important for anybody getting started in business, especially during those times when, as we mentioned earlier, you're not going to be making any income for quite a while, right? You have to build it first. You have to plant those seeds, and depending on how you plant those seeds will determine how high your stock will grow.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to have those things in place. Otherwise, like you say, when you're going through all the motions of, creating the business and getting started, you ain't earning any money. You've got to care about what you're doing, and you've got to have a reason for doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. So what's the biggest, well, matter of fact, let me ask that second. The first question I have, Charles, is I'll keep the momentum going. He's talking about books a lot, right? I'm an avid reader as well. I'm curious to know, what book are you currently reading right now?
Oh, what am I reading right now? I've just closed my Kindle on my computer, actually. I am reading... Oh, actually, I've got this one as well, which I've been trying to... It's called The End of Work, The Decline of the Global Labour Force and the Dawn of the Post-Market Era. And what it is, it's talking about, how things are becoming more run by technology now, and what are we going to do with people now that technology is running everything? How are we going to pay people, what they're going to be doing, and what they're going to be getting paid for? I find that really interesting. It's a topic that I want to bring up at these meetings that I go to as well. I want to hear what a bunch of very intelligent people have got to say on the subject. Because is it something that you guys have you guys come across any books or anything about this, or any podcasts or anything about it? Because it's a topic that it just kind of, it keeps coming up in my mind, and I'm thinking I need to know more about this.
You need to read. I just finished a book. It's called The Spirit in Man, Art and Literature.
Yeah. And
exactly what you just talking about. It's not talking about the technology side. It doesn't reference technology. This is like a historian type of book.
Yeah.
But it definitely gives some validation to what you're looking for, what you was just talking about.
Good. Oh, great.
I've never used the term, the words come off of the page. I've always heard it. But this book gives you it's so crazy how I just finished reading that book a couple days ago. Uh-huh. And here you are talking about this same exact concept. It's so crazy. So that's if you were asking for a book or a podcast, maybe Charles knows a podcast, but that book right there will definitely give you more of what you're looking for. The Spirit in Man, Art and Literature, C.G. Chung.
Oh, superb. Thank you. Well, that was worth talking about, wasn't it, to get that? Oh, that's great. Oh, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'll look it up.
I did have another question, but Charles, I know you're hot on podcasts. Do you have like a podcast? Maybe you could.
Not on that specific topic, no. But on the technological side, I have heard the same thing. Especially where at the grocery stores where we're seeing all these self checkouts. Eventually they're going to get rid of all the cashiers. Eventually, so there's going to be a shift towards a lot of jobs being replaced by machines, by robots. So on the technology side, I did hear it, but I'll definitely pick up those two books because I'm interested to learn more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll definitely pick up the End of Work. You said it's called, right?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay.
I've not finished it yet. A couple of chapters. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I wonder where it's going.
Yeah, I'm wondering where it's going too. So I'm a definitely pick it up. Now, my other question was this, Lisa. What is your biggest business mistake that you've made thus far?
Oh, there's no such thing. There's no such thing.
All right, let me rephrase it. Let me reframe it. All right. What was
Okay.
have you ever reached a point in as a business owner where you wanted to just give up? You wanted to just quit?
No, because what I do, I mean, there's been times where I've literally had my computer in my hands, my laptop in my hands, ready to throw it at the wall with frustration over technology. I think we've all been there. Usually WordPress, isn't it, or PayPal or something. And it is. You don't even get me started.
Yeah.
And so, but I've never wanted to give up what I do because, even those times when I've been getting paid very little or not been getting paid at all, or
Wait,
things.
how long have you been in business for?
Technically, I've been in business about 2.5 years, but I've actually been coaching for longer.
Wait, how long?
2.5 years.
Okay, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I've been doing.
I think you never second guessed yourself through this whole journey. Maybe a client you thought you was gonna, or you. How did you? All right, so you keep saying, well, not even during the times where you was working for free. You're gonna have to give me something because someone had to teach you that. You had to come into this knowing, because not most entrepreneurs know that you should be working for free. Like when you first get started, how did you know that? And why were you okay with it from the door?
I think I had heard it. I think I had heard it somewhere. I'd been to some meeting. I don't know what it was I'd been to, some kind of workshop or something, where they'd said, it can can take up to 6 months before you get your first payment. And I think even after 6 months, it was a very small amount of money, but I knew. But the thing is, I think to myself, I would be doing this anyway. I can't help myself doing this. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so even if I wasn't getting paid to do it, which is ridiculous because then I'd have to get a job doing something else and waste my time doing something that's not me, but I wouldn't be able to stop doing it. I can't not do it. I don't know how to not do it. Like it would feel like removing something that's part of me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So we're winding it down, and I'm just gonna make I guess I'll ask you your take on it, and then we'll pass it over to Charles to get us out of here, and we'll also find out where we can connect with you, etc. But Charles and I, we have this we have a special edition series of this podcast where we talk about more current issues that are going on, and we release it on this same broadcast every Monday. Okay. And the one that we just recorded yesterday, the question was, what type of impact, or no, I think it was, how will Donald Trump being president impact entrepreneurship in the United States? How would you, what is your take on that?
That is a big question, isn't it? Oh my goodness, I don't even want to answer that. I have honestly, I've got absolutely no idea what's going to happen. All I know, and I will say, is that it had to happen. It had to happen because without it, there wouldn't have been enough change, and change massively needs to happen in the US. And if this is what it takes to wake people up that something needs to happen, then this is what it is. How it's going to affect entrepreneurship, I have no idea. I don't know what his policies are. I don't know. I don't know. What answers have you had to that? Have you had any other answers? What's everyone else said? Be interesting to hear.
Well, I said that I said that not much is really going to change, right? I'm paraphrasing, but I essentially said lazy people are still going to be lazy. But listen, if you're an entrepreneur right now, because I saw this one interview, they were interviewing Donald Trump when he was running the campaign, right? And the person that was interviewing him took offense that he was leaving his job, like leaving his one of his businesses. And he was very clear with her. He was like, wait, you don't think I'm going to be doing business during this? And I think that if it's going to have any impact at all, him being in the presidency, I feel that real business owners are going to be separated from the cliche entrepreneurs that are just hanging on to just saying I'm an entrepreneur, the fad of being an entrepreneur. I think that is going to be very, very evident during the course of his presidency. I said a whole bunch of other stuff, but that's just it in short. If you're a business owner, you need to enjoy this ride and you need to get serious about building your business. No more shenanigans, no more playing around, no more foolery. Get to business and take advantage of whatever's going to happen this next 4 years. That's how entrepreneurs think. It don't matter who's in presidency, right? It just matters when you're going to get your edge. Now is the time to get the edge, always. Now, we got a business owner in the White House. So just the same way President Obama gave colored people an opportunity to feel more confident, not because of what he was doing, but just the color of his skin. When President Barack Obama became president here in the United States, forget what anybody else told you. I'm telling you from my personal experience. I had an extra edge. Maybe it was just mentally, but I had an extra edge as a black man in America that I could do anything. Nice. And I believe that Donald Trump is going to do the same thing for entrepreneurs, but you got to get serious. What did you say, Charles?
Mine was a little bit different than Demetrius, although I did agree with him. Regardless of who's ever in office, we need to take advantage of opportunities when new presidents come into office. But from a higher level standpoint, I was looking at it as Donald Trump being a business owner. A lot of his mindset when he approaches different policies and situations is probably going to be wrapped around what's the economic impact of this. For a prime example, the Rex Tillerson, he's the CEO of Exxon, and Donald Trump is considering making him Secretary of State for the United States. And through, I guess, a series of, I don't know if it's myth or not, but Tillerson has close ties with the president of Russia. And so that within itself is going to have a huge impact on the oil industry, not only in the U.S., but across the world as well. And that was just one of the examples. And he also appointed some other people to his cabinet who made me question why he's adding them. But nonetheless, I don't know if that answers your question, guys, or
does that
what you were saying about anything shouldn't really affect an entrepreneur. It really ought to be. It isn't. How do I want to put this? What I'm trying to say is that as an entrepreneur, it's not really about what you have. It really is more about taking opportunities in however they present themselves, being resourceful. I watched a little Tony Robbins talk about this a few months ago, where he was saying it's not about what you've got; it's about your resourcefulness that allows you to move forward and to build and to do whatever. So in whatever situation you find yourself in, whether it's political or domestic or financial or whatever, that really doesn't determine your level of success. What determines your level of success is your resourcefulness to use whatever is at hand to you, whatever circumstances you're in, and be creative with it.
I agree. Yeah, I agree 100%. 100%. Well, we're at the top of the recording hour. Lisa, you shared a lot of great information. At the beginning of the show, you mentioned that you had a bestseller. Can you just tell us the name of that book and where we can find it?
Yeah, certainly. So the name of it is Life Purpose Alchemy, and you can find it on Amazon. It's a workbook. It's not a storybook. It's not a novel. It's not even a how-to. It's a workbook. It's a bunch of questions, and it guides you from having a rough idea that the work that you're doing isn't really what you want to do, and you're not sure what it is, and kicks you out at the end of the book, knowing exactly what it is you want to be doing, and a set of action steps to get you started.
Nice. And we can get that from your website as well.
Yeah, you can find the link to it on my website, which is lisacherrybeaumont.com, or you can find it on Amazon.
Okay, perfect. And we'll be sure to link to everything also in the show notes as well. I like to end the show with a question / scenario. So, and this may be a tough one because we kind of just touched on it a little bit. All right. So say, Lisa, you were a U.S. citizen. And I don't know, it may be hard to answer because, but I'll just ask it and then we can just roll with it. So say you're a U.S. citizen and you just realized the person you voted for didn't win the presidency. It was the opposing person. What would be going through your head through that whole entire process? And especially if the person that won the election didn't have any political background whatsoever, never held political office. Like, what were some of the things regarding the mindset of America would be going through your mind at that time?
Oh, that's a great question. And actually, it's something that I have thought about. And I'm not a US citizen. What is it that's going on that means that this has had to happen? What is going on that needs to change? Because, I mean, personally, I look at the two candidates, the two main candidates, and I'm like, oh, good grief, really? Is that the choice? Really, him or her? Really? And I think that I've talked to a lot of people who feel that way, and I feel that we need to look at the reasons why, rather than, getting upset and angry and, pointing fingers. Look at the reasons why that's happened and address those at the root cause. It's the same for everything. Things happen for a reason. Whether we like it or we don't like it is irrelevant. Whether, whoever I would have voted for, I don't know who I would have voted for, actually, if I was going to vote. I'm just both terrible. And whatever happens, whether we like it or we don't like it, we have to, if we're not happy with it, then we have to look at the reasons why it happened and then work at that root cause to change something if that's what we want to change.
Awesome. Elisa, again, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with our audience. We really appreciate you. It's been a very enlightening interview, and we definitely look forward to seeing what you have coming out in the future as well. Now, I know before we got on the line, you were saying something about a Facebook group. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I do have a lovely Facebook group. I've got about 600 or 700 people in there at the moment, and it's a lovely, friendly place. It's called Authentic Life Global Tribe, and it's for people who are thinking about getting out of their job and want to perhaps start a business or do different work that makes them happy. And we're a supportive group, and we all help each other in there. So you'd be very welcome to come and join us.
Cool stuff. Everybody listening in, be sure to check out Lisa at lisacherrybeaumont.com. We'll, as always, have links in the show notes as well. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at Inner Success Radio. We're on iHeart, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn. And did I say iHeart? Yeah, iHeartRadio as well. And as always, we air every Wednesday. And until next episode, we'll talk to you later. Bye for now.